Tonight is December the 16th, 2021, and I want to show you something that I've done a couple of times, and I just seem to have a real appreciation for these little D-104 microphones. But I ended up getting another one today. It really was in a lot worse shape than I saw in the pictures, but I didn't exactly get deceived. But anyway, I had to clean it up quite a bit, and I want to show you what I did. First of all, I completely disassembled it, and the disassembly of it might be actually worth something to somebody. And I ran it through the dishwasher, and that helped a lot. Helped a whole lot. And then I use a Dremel tool with a little polishing end on it, you know. Helped again. But I want to show you what they look like completely apart. This is it. This is as many pieces as I can take it into. Now this one had the preamp in it, which I'm not going to use. But it also had the battery holder, which I do use and do need and want, because I use these little inexpensive condenser mics that you can get out on the internet for just a few bucks, and they sound really good. Everybody says they sound very good. I have restored too many microphones. I don't know why I have such a like for microphones, but I do. All different styles of them. But you can wire up your D-104 base. This base right here happens to be what they call a T-UG8 base. There's a different one that I think, this is the T-UG8 base is the one that has the amplifier and the battery holder and all that kind of stuff. And then there's a simpler one. I don't remember what it is. You can look it up. That is the real old style that didn't have an amplifier. But anyway, I guess all I wanted to really show you tonight is how many pieces it comes into and how it goes back together. I'll start putting little pieces back together. See, I cleaned everything up nicely, polished up the little strain relief spring, etc. Here's the switch that's inside of it. I'll show you how that's wired. This actually might be really important to somebody. Now, I know that you can find the wiring diagrams out on the internet, but to actually see it, look at here, I'll show you. I mean, this is when you squeeze the handle, you're actually closing this switch right here. So the striped wire, this is the white and green striped wire. I've already got it written down, but I don't know if I can find it right now. Darn. I don't know what I did with it. I'll have to redraw it. No, here it is, right here. Here it is. Okay, look, there's no use in redrawing this. Right here. This actually might be worth something to somebody. The white and green wire, that's just the white and green, that's this one right here. See, that's the center tap, that's the center wire. The center contact, rather. And it's in touch with the white wire. So these two wires right here are closed at the moment, the white and the white green. Well, when you press the switch, then the white green, these two open up, and then these two close, the purple, the white green and the purple. At the same time, it happens up here too. The striped wire, again, is the center wire, and the blue wire, these two are, there's continuity between these two now. When you squeeze your microphone and you switch these contacts right here, then the blue and the white red wire, this little striped wire, opens up, and then these two close. The white and red stripe and the red. So these two are closed during when the switch is pushed, and these two are closed when the switch is pushed. The white, green, and the purple, and the white, red, and the red. So anyway, that's really important to know, because you got to wire this thing up. You've got to wire one of them for push to talk, and you got to wire the other one so that it connects the battery to your new condenser mic, because your little condenser mic has a condenser, I guess a capacitor type microphone in it that is very, very low output, and it has an FET amplifier in it that must be powered. And a 9-volt battery does a great job. That's why you got to have this little guy at the bottom. So you got to wire one set of contacts to for your push to talk, assuming you use push to talk, and I do because I use the old old vintage Collins equipment. And then you got to use the other one to provide power to your microphone. Now, I had another microphone that didn't have but one set of contacts. I don't remember what brand it was. So I wired it so the microphone was on all the time. Well, that doesn't work because it runs your battery down. So what I had to do there is I had to use the one set of contacts to actually operate a little tiny relay that I could operate with a 9-volt battery. So when I squeeze and close these contacts on the other type of microphone, then I'm actually operating a relay with multiple sets of contacts, so I can actually turn the power on and off to the battery. Turn it on when you speak and turn it off when you're not speaking. Well, okay, anyway, enough of that. Here's the bottom of it. So right here is where this thing mounts. I'll mount pieces in there and we'll come back and make little pieces. That'll mount there. This thing down here mounts here with a spring on it, etc. I'll put those in, and then I'll show you how there's kind of I think there's going to be a real trick to getting this thing right here back together, because this goes in the top of the microphone and this bolts in through the two little holes right there. They go into the side of the microphone. This may be a pill, but that's the way that actually goes back in there. Okay, let me put a few pieces together, and then we'll examine it again. Okay, a little bit. I put the pot back in there. I measured this thing out at about 17.5 K. I'm not sure what it's supposed to be, but probably about that. Just in case I need it, I probably won't use it. Got this strain release spring back in. This is a clamp for the wire. I'll put the wire in later. But these two screws right here hold all this assembly in there. I took that switch out right there. I think that's to turn the amplifier on and off because I didn't need it. I just cut it out with the Dremel tool. I just cut the heads off of the brad with these, just a little cutter, and then you can pull it out easily. That's where I cut those things off. I'll have to wire that up. Okay, I think that was the easy part, right? Well, before I forget it, let me show you what I use here. This is not anything I discovered, but I read about it. I use this alcohol right here. See, it's called 99.9% pure anhydrous. So it's got no water in it. Pure isopropyl alcohol and acetone, 50-50. 50% alcohol, 50% acetone. Great stuff. And I just put it in one little spray bottle. This used to be just the alcohol. And I'll label it. That works really, really good for me. Very, very good. That's a formula I read off the internet. Okay. I think the next thing I'm going to wire up, I'm going to try to get this assembly back on. I'm going to do it with, let's see. There's a couple of holes right here I've been looking at that are kind of close together. When you think about it, this thing sits like that and you squeeze it like that, so the handle goes on the left side, and it looks like these holes right there line up right there and there. So that means this thing's got to go on there. I know this thing kind of drops down in it, but I can't put that on yet because I've got to put this stuff in the middle because there's two little screws right there. So I think that's the one I got to put on next. Yeah. Well, I'll struggle it on there and then I'll tell you what the pain was. Okay, one step at a time. I slid the top where the microphone head screws in. I slid it up through the bottom and put that little screw back in. That was too easy. That was just too easy. So I just want to go a step at a time in case you ever have to do this. I know I've had to watch internet videos over and over before. Sometimes when when I've taken things apart and can't get them back together. Okay, one more step. Okay, that really wasn't that bad, only 3 or 4 minutes. You just gotta, you know, line it up and get all of your, get your brain lined up there really good with it. And of course, these are the 2 microphone wires. We identified these wires over here and actually made a little drawing of it. So we know that's, and we don't have, you know what's so valuable about that is you know what you're doing here. You know which wire is which, and you don't have to look at all the bajillion different versions of it on the internet and wonder, well, I wonder which one I got. That wasn't too bad. So, oh, you know what though? I got a wire pinched under it. That wasn't so good after all. I thought I felt it kind of, I see it in there now. I see a wire that's probably wrapped around the shaft. I got to pull it back out. Okay, a small lesson learned there. Don't twist this thing around so much that you get the microphone wires caught under that flat part on the top. That's why it just didn't. Now it tightened down very proper and snug. So there you go. I think that was easier than I thought. All right, well, let's keep moving. Okay. If you stuck with me this far, I'm going to try to get to the point, but it's a little complicated. But I hope this is something of value, because what I'm going to show you here is not necessarily completely intuitive. Okay, what we do is when we have these little condenser mics, as I've already mentioned, we have to provide them with a little bit of voltage. Not much. 9-volt battery is great. And what we do is we hook it up in a way like this. This is the little condenser mic you buy, and it's got its own colors out here, and they'll tell you how to hook it up to the green and the yellow of the D-104. The yellow is just grounded. The green goes to a capacitor, and it goes to the audio output, which goes to your radio. But you have to supply it with a voltage, and they give you a 1K resistor right here. This is 1K. That's what they give you. But if you have the base that I have here, that what is it called? A T-UG8. I think it's that T that matters. Then you have that potentiometer here, and this is 17K. Well, if you put this resistor in series with this 1K before you hook it to your 9 volts, and then you use some of these connections over here. I'm not going to draw you the complete schematic. It just isn't necessary, because you can figure it out. You've got to use a set of these contacts. When you squeeze the microphone, you turn the 9 volts on to the little condenser mic. The way that I've got it done is I've got 9 volts hooked directly to here, and then I've got a set of these contacts right here grounding the negative lead of the 9-volt battery. Okay, well, here's the part that may not be completely intuitive. We generally think that when we decrease resistance, we increase things. Well, we do. We increase current. But we may not be increasing voltage, and in this case, that is exactly the point. When you increase this resistance right here, then you make this resistance across to ground. This is actually ground right here as far as the audio signal goes. This is not ground for 9 volts, but it's ground for the audio signal. As you increase this resistance right here, you actually increase the output, because the output is being developed across a higher resistance. And all we're looking for out here is voltage. We're not looking for current. We're not trying to draw any current. It's the same thing that when you look at an audio amplifier and say you've got a 47K plate load resistor. If you increase it to 100K load resistor, a higher resistance, you actually get a higher gain. Now, maybe some of you know that. I'm sure some of you, of course, do, but some of you may not. You may think, well, if you make it 100,000 ohms instead of 47,000 ohms, then there's going to be less voltage at the tube, and that's true. But you're developing the voltage across this resistance right here, because this is where the audio exists, and this right here for the audio signal is ground. This is 0. So the higher you make this resistance right here, the more output you get. And it works. It's real. I'm going to show you. We're going to go down to one of my radios. I'm showing you all this because it may be kind of hard for me to show you this in reality. But look, I don't know if this is completely easy to see, but see, I've got the positive lead going to the wiper, and I've got the other side. This side right here is actually going over to the element. See, there's that blocking capacitor right there. This capacitor right here is this capacitor right here. And this resistor and this potentiometer is, well, it's kind of buried. I've got it pushed down under there. There's actually a resistor. Oh, there it is. There it is. There's the resistor and there's the potentiometer. So the thing about it is I increase the resistance. You see, this is a mechanical device. This is the wiper. This is one end of the resistor. This is the other end. This being the wiper. As I mechanically turn it this way, it goes right here and it becomes a higher resistance. So as I mechanically turn it this way, it becomes more gain. We increase the gain by increasing the resistance instead of reducing it, because we're trying to increase the voltage, not the current. Sorry if that sounds redundant, but it's a concept that I'm not sure is completely clear in a lot of cases. So let's go down to the radio and I'll show you what I'm talking about. Okay, now what I'm going to show you here is I've got this microphone down here. This is the very same microphone you saw seconds ago. I've just moved it into the basement. There's a volume control right there in the bottom right here. But I've got it all the way counterclockwise. I've got it down all the way. And I'm going to show you what happens as you increase the resistance, which increases the gain. I'm going to move the scope over here just a little bit. I mean, there's a lot of ways to look at this, but I think this is the most descriptive and graphic, and really gets the point across. Okay, I'm into a dummy load, of course, and I'm not operating high power. I'm operating all low power. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I think you can see that. You can see that the peaks of my voice are very sharp. I hope that that's showing up on the screen. The peaks are very sharp, and I would say the audio probably sounds quite good. Okay, now I'm going to increase that resistor value. I'm going to put a, well, I don't think you can see it there. I'm going to put a screwdriver to the bottom, and I'm just going to turn it all the way up. If I can find out what a slot is. Okay, now I've got it turned all the way up, and I'm trying not to talk in a, can you see how it's squared off? How the how the signal has squared off at the top. I mean, everything is the same height. Well, that's going to sound really muffled. That's a terrible sounding signal. You could probably understand it, but that's just that's too much gain. That's overdriving in my case, my KWM2A, or be overdriving your ICOM or your Kenwood or your Yaesu or whatever. Okay, I'm going to turn it back down. If I can get it in a slot again. And now it looks like that, and you can see the sharp points. I think if there's anything to be learned about this, it's that, again, it's a load resistor that we're varying. It's true of these inexpensive type condenser mics that we can buy off of eBay for not much money. They actually sound quite good. But don't overdo it. Okay. That's my point here. I hope that this was worth something. I really enjoy this. And this is my little KWM2A right here, made by Rockwell Collins. And whatever. Have a very good Christmas and a Happy New Year, and safe. And I hope we get over this pandemic really soon. Thanks for watching.